Melakim 1, 1 Kings chapter 19. And when Ahab reported to Izebel all that Eliyahu had done, also how he slew all the prophets with the sword, Izebel sent a messenger to Eliyahu, saying, So let the mighty ones do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And he feared and rose up and ran for his life and went to Beersheba, which belongs to Yehudah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree and prayed that he might die, and said, It is enough. Now, Yahuah, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers. And he lay and slept under a broom tree, and see, a messenger touched him and said to him, Rise, eat. And he looked and saw by his head a cake baked on coals and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and turned and lay down. And the messenger of Yahuah came back the second time and touched him and said, Rise, eat, for the journey is too much for you. And he rose up and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights, as far as Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. And there he went into a cave and spent the night there. And see, the word of Yahuah came to him and said to him, What are you doing here, Eliyahu? And he said, I have been very ardent for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, for the children of Yisrael have forsaken your covenant. They have thrown down your altars, and they have slain your Neviim with the sword. And I am left, I alone, and they seek my life to take it. And he said, Go out and stand on the mountain before Yahuah. And see, Yahuah passed by, and a great and strong wind tearing the mountains and breaking the rocks in pieces before Yahuah. Yahuah was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. Yahuah was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. Yahuah was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. And it came to be, when Eliyahu heard it, that he wrapped his face in his robe and went out and stood at the cave opening. And see, a voice came to him and said, What are you doing here, Eliyahu? And he said, I have been very ardent for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, for the children of Yisrael have forsaken your covenant. They have thrown down your altars, and they have slain your Neviim with the sword, and I am left, I alone, and they seek my life to take it. And Yahuah said to him, Go, return on your own to the wilderness of Damascus, and you shall go in and anoint Hazael as sovereign over Aram, and anoint Yahu, son of Nimshi, as sovereign over Yisrael, and anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat of Evel Mecheloah, as Nevi in your place. And it shall be that whoever escapes the sword of Hazael, Yahu kills, and whoever escapes from the sword of Yahu, Elisha kills. And I shall leave 7,000 in Yisrael, all whose knees have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. And he went from there and found Elisha, son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yokes before him, and he was with the 12th. And Eliyahu passed by him and threw his robe on him. And he left the oxen and ran after Eliyahu and said, Please let me kiss my father and my mother, and then I follow you. And he said to him, Go, turn back, for what have I done to you? And he turned back from him and took a yoke of oxen and slaughtered them and cooked their flesh, using the implements of the oxen, and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he rose up and followed Eliyahu and became his servant. Melakim 1, 1 Kings chapter 20. And Ben-Hadad, the sovereign of Aram, gathered all his army, and there were 32 sovereigns with him, with horses and chariots, and he went up and besieged Shamaron and fought against it. And he sent messengers into the city to Ahab, sovereign of Yisrael, and said to him, Thus said Ben-Hadad, Your silver and your gold are mine, and your wives and children, the best, are mine. And the sovereign of Yisrael answered and said, As you say, my master, O sovereign, I am yours and all that I have. And the messengers came back and said, Thus speaks Ben-Hadad, saying, Indeed, I have sent to you, saying, Give me your silver and your gold, your wives and your children. But about this time tomorrow I shall send my servants to you, and they shall search your house and the houses of your servants. And it shall be that whatever is pleasing in your eyes they shall lay hold of and take it. And the sovereign of Yisrael called all the elders of the land and said, Please know and see the evil this one is seeking, for he sent to me for my wives and for my children and for my silver and for my gold, and I did not refuse him. And all the elders and all the people said to him, Do not listen nor agree. So he said to the messengers of Ben-Hadad, Say to my master the sovereign, All that you sent for to your servant the first time I shall do, but this I am unable to do. And the messengers went and brought back word to him, and Ben-Hadad sent to him and said, The mighty ones do so to me, and more also, if enough dust is left of Shamaron for a handful for each of the people who follow me. And the sovereign of Yisrael answered and said, Speak, him who girds on should not boast like him who lays it down. And it came to be when this word was heard, as he and the sovereigns were drinking in the booths, that he said to his servants, Ready yourselves. So they turned themselves against the city, and see, a Nevi came near to Ahab, sovereign of Yisrael, saying, Thus said Yahuah, Have you seen all this great company? See, I am giving it into your hand today, and you shall know that I am Yahuah. And Ahab said, By whom? And he said, Thus said Yahuah, by the young rulers of the provinces. And he said, Who opens the attack? Then he answered, You. And he mustered the young rulers of the provinces, and there were 232, and after them he mustered all the people, all the children of Yisrael, 7,000. And they went out at noon, while Ben-Hadad and the 32 sovereigns helping him were getting drunk in the booths. And the young rulers of the provinces went out first, and Ben-Hadad sent out, and they reported to him, saying, Men have come out of Shamaron. Then he said, If they have come out for peace, seize them alive. And if they have come out for battle, seize them alive. So these young rulers of the provinces went out of the city with the army which followed them, and each smote his man. So the Arameans fled, and Yisrael pursued them. And Ben-Hadad, the sovereign of Aram, escaped on a horse with the horsemen. And the sovereign of Yisrael went out and smote the horses and chariots, and smote the Arameans, a great smiting. And the Nevi came to the sovereign of Yisrael and said to him, Go, strengthen yourself, and know and see what you should do, for at the turn of the year the sovereign of Aram is coming up against you. And the servants of the sovereign of Aram said to him, Their mighty ones are mighty ones of the hills. That is why they were stronger than we. But let us fight against them in the plain. Are we not stronger than they? Now do this, take away the sovereigns each from his position, and put officers in their places, and number an army like the army that you have lost, horse for horse, and chariot for chariot, and let us fight against them in the plain. Are we not stronger than they? And he listened to their voice and did so. And it came to be at the turn of the year that Ben-Hadad mustered the Arameans and went up to Aphek to fight against Yisrael. And the children of Yisrael were mustered and were fed, and they went against them. And the children of Yisrael encamped before them like 2 little flocks of goats, while the Arameans filled the land. And there came near a man of Elohim and spoke to the sovereign of Yisrael and said, Thus said Yahuah, because the Arameans have said, Yahuah is Elohim of the hills, but he is not Elohim of the valleys. Therefore I shall give all this great company into your hand, and you shall know that I am Yahuah. And they encamped opposite each other for 7 days. And it came to be that on the 7th day the battle was joined. And the children of Yisrael smote 100,000 foot soldiers of the Arameans in 1 day. And those that were left fled to Aphek into the city, and a wall fell on 27,000 of the men who were left. And Ben-Hadad fled and went into the city, into an inner room. And his servants said to him, "See now, we have heard that the sovereigns of the house of Yisrael are kind sovereigns. Please let us put sackcloth around our waists and ropes around our heads, and go out to the sovereign of Yisrael. It could be that he spares your life." So they girded sackcloth on their loins and put ropes around their heads, and came to the sovereign of Yisrael and said, "Your servant Ben-Hadad said, 'Please let me live.'" And he said, "Is he still alive? He is my brother." And the men divined, and they quickly grasped it and said, "Your brother Ben-Hadad." And he said, "Go, bring him." So Ben-Hadad came out to him, and he let him come up on the chariot. And Ben-Hadad said to him, "The cities which my father took from your father I return, and put up marketplaces for yourself in Damascus, as my father did in Shamaron." And Ahab said, "I send you away with this covenant." And he made a covenant with him, and sent him away. And a certain man of the sons of the Neviim said to his neighbor by the word of Yahuah, "Strike me, please." But the man refused to smite him. Then he said to him, "Because you have not obeyed the voice of Yahuah, see, as soon as you leave me, a lion shall smite you." And when he left him, a lion found him and smote him. And he found another man and said, "Strike me, please." So the man struck him, striking and wounding. Then the Nevi went and waited for the sovereign by the way, and disguised himself with ashes on his eyes. And as the sovereign passed by, he cried out to the sovereign and said, "Your servant went out into the midst of the battle, and see, a man came over and brought a man to me and said, 'Guard this man. If he should in any way be missing, your life shall be for his life, or else you shall pay a kikar of silver.' And it came to be, while your servant was busy here and there, he was gone." And the sovereign of Yisrael said to him, "Your judgment is right. You yourself have decided it." Then he quickly removed the ashes from his eyes, and the sovereign of Yisrael recognized him as one of the Neviim. And he said to him, "Thus said Yahuah, because you have let slip out of your hand a man whom I put under the ban, therefore your life shall go for his life, and your people for his people." And the sovereign of Israel went to his house, embittered and displeased, and came to Shamaron.